welcome to the Golden Hour. I am Goldyn Duffy, your host, and the energy is so palpable right now. There is such an incredible energy in the field that I had to have this guest come on once again. She is a returning guest. She is absolutely amazing. She has actually been one of these people that has guided my journey along as I have her on the show. I feel like we are always in alignment with our messages. She is part of Elite Source Coaching. So if you do want to get in touch with her, there is a way for you to actually work with her. And I think it would be a really good idea, especially because we are just approaching this new year. We're a few weeks into the new year. And maybe you're feeling a little lost. Maybe you're feeling a little bit like you're not sure what to do with your life. And I feel like Candice Mitchell is one that can help you, guide you on your path, and bring you into a better year. Welcome, Candice.
Thank you. Thank you for your vote of confidence. I love that.
I'm so happy to have you back. We always have the best conversations, and I always feel better for talking to you. And that's why I love having you on the show, because I feel there's an energy transfer on this show. So if I can share a little bit of your energy with the world, then I just feel like I'm doing my job here.
Well, thank you. And I love that there's energy transfer, because I always feel better too. I feel like we have an energy exchange.
Absolutely. So, we're just coming into this new year. And, there's a lot of talk of resolutions, and a lot of people join the gym, and, there's just a lot of energy exchange. And one of the things that I've shared actually on my last episode was how the reason why a new year feels so different is because of the energy that we bring into the year, because we feel like we can leave 2023 behind and we can become new people in 2024. Now, what I feel trips people up is that they come into 2024 with this excitement, and then that excitement peters out because they don't have a strong enough alignment with this new identity, with their new habits, with the newness that they want to be a part of. So it's very easy for them, because we all know the mechanisms of the mind, to go back to the way that they were before. So can you speak a little bit about making these, because I know you've made some really big changes recently, maybe small changes that have actually created something big in your life. Can you share the process of that and how you came to a new understanding of even being a morning person?
So I have not been a morning person. In fact, my ex-husband used to say dealing with me in the morning was like waking the dragon. And I can't say he was wrong. So I have been looking for something to spark my inspiration, my motivation, because I knew something was out, something I could improve.
Yeah.
And I took a look at my past year, and what I realized is there's a lack of self-discipline. And I believe self-discipline is the highest form of self-love. Self-acceptance or authenticity is the highest form of self-acceptance.
Yep.
So I realized, okay, I want discipline in the same way that a parent lovingly guides their child to give them discipline so they can be a strong human. I've been reparenting myself emotionally. Now it's time to get to the self-discipline.
Right.
So I read a book. Go ahead.
I actually just had this thought about self-discipline. And this is what I love about you, because we always bring things out of each other. How self-discipline is actually truth. Because if you have a desire of wanting to be someone, that discipline is your truth, because that discipline will lead you to becoming that person. So we could actually think of discipline, because I think sometimes discipline can have a negative connotation because of being disciplined as a child. So if we think of self-discipline as, oh, that's my truth, that's who I am, that's what I do, it might change the energy of the word, and it might actually change how you receive it.
Well, so I'm going to give you the example of what changed my feeling about it.
Okay.
Is I show up to work for the paycheck, right? Yep. I can be self-disciplined enough to get money.
Yep.
Now, what about my habits? Can I be self-disciplined enough to invest in my future self?
Yeah.
For no other reason than I just choose to love myself.
Right.
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 So I made a vow, a promise to myself last year
Okay.
that I would read more books, and I did. I read like 30 books last year.
Wow.
And this year I decided I'm going to kick it up a notch and I'm going to actually start reading on New Year's Day. And I did. I read the 5 a.m. Club. Um,
Who
the
wrote that? Who wrote the 5 a.m.?
Robin, it's Robin Sharma.
Okay.
That's
Love
who wrote that.
Okay.
And I will tell you, the man is a genius. The story seems very simple.
Uh-huh.
However, because of my education, I can see exactly what he was doing in the way he wrote the story,
Love
and
it.
it worked anyway.
Yeah.
There's NLP, there's hypnotic suggestions, there's building of curiosity so that when he hands you the nugget, you're ready to receive it.
Love
So
it.
you don't miss any of the nuggets,
Right.
right?
I love that. I'm gonna have to check that out. It sounds really good.
Oh, it life-changing,
Yep.
life-changing book. It's not just a book. It's, if you apply what you learn in the book, life-changing.
I love that. So tell me how your life has changed since you became part of the 5 a.m. Club. Well, first of all, tell me what your energy was before this.
So my energy, I am somebody who always rewarded myself by sleeping in and staying up late,
Okay.
which reduces productivity during the day.
I know a lot of people like that.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
almost like you're a kid and you're just
yes,
defying the bedtime. I have kids
yes.
that do that actually.
I ironically on New Year's Eve I stayed at a karaoke party till 5 in the morning.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
then I didn't go to bed until like 6:30 in the morning on New Year's Day.
Holy cow.
But
Way to bring that in that new year.
I know, right?
I love it.
I and then I started reading when I got up, and I kept reading, and I was just fascinated because I could recognize what he was doing and I could feel it was working anyway.
Right. Right. That's really cool.
And then the next day I applied just one of the principles,
Okay.
and I was like, you know what? I'm going to join the 5 a.m. club tomorrow.
Okay.
So I did.
Yeah.
Got up at 5 a.m. and I did my victory hour, which the formula for the victory hour is in the book.
Okay.
And since then, I have tweaked it to add the victory hour, a couple of components to make it more what I want for me.
Yep.
But
I love that.
basically, starting my day, my entire first hour is investing in me, my goals, my dreams, my future self.
Wow.
It's a
Yeah.
foundation for the whole day. And
Yeah.
because I'm making myself a priority instead of something I'll get to later,
Yep.
my whole attitude is so much better.
Because you don't feel cheated, right?
Well, so speaking for myself, and this may resonate with a lot of your viewers, listeners, it's easy for me to put myself at the bottom of my priority list.
Yep.
However, what that does is that means that I have abandoned myself.
Right.
And childhood trauma, when we've been abandoned, we tend to continue that cycle of abandonment because it's what we know. It's normal. It's part of our identity. Our identity is we're abandoned.
Right.
So then when we abandon ourselves, we're just right about our identity.
Yep. Yeah. So it just solidifies that identity and that reflection of how you really feel inside.
Yep.
So this would nullify all that, would you say? Or is it really just, it's really just becoming someone new?
So because I know what I know about neuroscience,
Yeah.
when you defy that identity enough times and it feels good when you do it,
Yeah.
that identity starts to dissipate.
Yeah.
And it's replaced with what I create for my identity instead of what happened to me.
So when you wake up in the morning now, it's been a little bit. It's been 9 days or 8 days or 7 days, right?
Yes.
Are you having that mind chatter that happens where it tries to talk you out of getting up?
So this is what happened. I got up at 5 the first couple days and I
Yeah.
said, this is so much fun. I actually want to be on my treadmill at 5. I don't want to be getting out of bed at 5.
Love that.
So I set my alarm for 4:44.
Yep.
And then I was on my treadmill at 5 and it was great,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Because I tweaked my power hour to end with me writing in my book,
Yeah.
and I wanted more time to write. So I said, today, as a matter of fact, I'm going to get up at 4:30 so my power hour can be an hour and a half,
Love
and
it.
I can get even more time for myself.
Yeah. That's great. My magic time is 4:17.
See?
That enables me to write in my book, get ready for the gym, go to the gym and get back at a reasonable hour so that I can start my day. Yeah. That's
Well, and I'm slowly incorporating some other habits. Not all of them, but I mean, there's a whole formula,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you another habit is to exercise a second time during the day.
I love that.
Just
I've not done that, but it really is magical, I'm sure. Yeah.
so I've just been doing like push-ups and leg lifts and my vibration plate and simple things that I have that I can do.
Yep.
I'm just doing it.
Just move your body
Today,
a bit more.
today at work, I went up and down the stairs 3 times.
Love.
I mean, why not? They're
Yeah.
there.
Little spurts of energy movement really pay off. I know they say like even in the burning factor of what your body does towards the end of the day, how it starts to slow down and you can actually re-engage your metabolism. But we had a conversation recently in our family about sickness. And this was the first year in quite a few years that we were all healthy at the holidays. Like the last couple of years, it's just been really challenging. There's like 11 or 9 of us that get together. And if somebody falls, everybody falls, and it's crazy. So this year, we set some strong intentions and we've been doing colloidal silver. And I realized, and my daughter was talking about this because we've been actually using some different sprays in our house. We've been keeping the house super clean and the energy moving and keeping our bodies moving, how illness and sickness is stagnated energy in your body. So the more that you can move, the more you can move energy through and out of your body, the better off and healthier you're going to be. So I believe that as far as like doing that throughout the day, it's so smart.
Right? And it feels
So
good.
many of us sit all day, especially if you have a job that's sitting. When I was doing 2 TV shows a day, or 3 shows a week, I was sitting, my body was literally falling apart because I had so many tight muscles from sitting all the time that, I went back to my stretching routines and my walking routines and fixed all of those problems.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is so good. So you're not having a lot of resistance when you wake up. In fact, the opposite is happening where you're wanting to get up earlier because you're in all of this excitement.
So what I did starting yesterday, because when I'm on the treadmill, I don't love treadmill. I don't love treadmill time.
It's kind of boring.
So
Yeah.
it kind of is boring. So
Yeah.
I'm listening to an audiobook at the same time because it goes with my I want to read more. Right?
Perfect.
Makes time go by faster.
Yep.
And then every 5 minutes, I do a sprint on my treadmill.
I love that. Yep.
Not for very long because obviously I'm not conditioned as a runner.
Yep.
However, I do a sprint and it shakes everything up and then, reduce the speed again. And then as my breathing returns to normal and I'm just going along, I'm like, oh, time for another sprint.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I did have some resistance, but I am finding ways around it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're in more like solution mode.
Absolutely. I refuse to let obstacles determine where I go and who I am.
That's great. That's a good mantra right there.
So, and because I love coffee, it is my favorite part of the morning.
Same.
Okay, after I'm done with the treadmill and my audiobook, then I move to listening to solfeggio frequencies while I journal for 10 minutes and then I meditate.
Nice.
And then I make my coffee and I sit down to write on my book while I have my coffee. So I'm training my brain to associate writing in my book with my love of coffee.
I love that.
So that I'm loving writing in my book instead of having resistance.
I love this. All right. So connecting is something that you love with something that like your creative flow, which might actually hit some resistance, because we tend to get a little resistance around our creativity because it's actually our growth. Our creativity is our
Yes.
growth. So by connecting your love of coffee with writing, you actually want to write more.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing.
And connecting my love of meditating with the solfeggio
Yep. Yep.
frequencies. I
Yep.
am also doing my journaling.
I love that. So anyone who has never heard of the solfeggio frequencies, they are on YouTube. It's 532, right? Is the hertz, I think.
Well, I'm varying them because
Yeah.
I'm doing one to open my third eye, and then I do one to open the heart chakra, and then I do one to heal the body. And
So good. And those are all on YouTube, right?
well, I do mine on Apple Music, but I discover them on YouTube first.
Okay.
I know 100% they're on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Because that is something that we've used in the past. We've slept with that frequency. It's a very high frequency, and it helps to bring your vibration up. We spend a lot of time on electronics, so our vibrations tend to dip. So if we can do something to actually bring them up, then you're setting up your day for like major success here.
Yes.
I
So
love it.
I had a coworker ask me today why I was in such a good mood and what was I doing. And I was like, how much time do you have? Because I will totally break it down for you. I will share this.
Yeah, you can send them the show, right?
I
This is it.
will.
I love
I will
that.
send her the link for the show.
That's so good. And all right, so yesterday, the show that I did that's going to come out this week, or last week, will come out last week. I talked about doing this. So actually looking at what you can do to be who you say you want to be. So what are those activities that you need to add into your life? And you're so doing this. So it's very similar for me. It's exercise, it's meditation. For me also, it's nature and writing. Those are the things that if I get those things accomplished every day, I'm in a win state, right? So going into those activities, what are those things that you can do that you can add to your day? Yes, you may have to get up early, and I'm going to highly recommend it, because by the time 7, 8 o'clock rolls around, you have already done more than most, and you feel like a winner, right?
Yes,
That's one of the reasons
absolutely
I
true.
tell you to make your bed every day, because it's like you get that done, you feel like a success. So getting these things done is work. It's like making your bed for your vibration.
So I want to tell you that there's a difference for, as somebody who used to feel disempowered,
Yep.
right? And I used to do these little things like they were magic and they were somehow going to fix me.
Yes.
And I even made my bed and I was like, I feel no different.
Yep.
Making my bed did nothing for me.
Yep.
However, when I started working on healing my internal stuff and I started doing things because it was important to me, I tried making the bed thing again
Mm-hmm.
just to test it out. And what I realized, it was so nice to come to my bed at the end of the day and have it be made
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have it just folded back to climb in. And I was like, this is nice. I left myself a little treat.
Yes. I love that. So in that idea of actually connecting with those things, why do you think that changed for you?
I think because I worked on my attitude.
Mm.
Like when I am looking at experiences, I no longer have the habit of looking for what was wrong or complaining about stuff the way
Yeah.
that I used to.
Yeah.
Now, even if something didn't work out right for me, I'm
Yeah.
like, at least I learned this, this, and that.
Yes.
The whole shift, like that's part of our survival brain, right? Is to look at what's wrong so we can avoid the dangers.
Yep.
However, if that's all we chronically look at, then we stay in survival mode. And I want more than that for my life.
Amen. Amen. So what is the secret to that? Like,
It's oversimplification, but I'm going to say it.
yeah, please. We need this exercise.
Mindfulness.
Yeah.
It's mindfulness when you pay attention to what you're paying attention to,
Yep.
and you remember that you are the observer and you have the power to change. Like, we literally can change our brain, take a brain scan, change habits, and take another brain scan, and our brain is different.
Yep. Yep.
And the thing is that, like, doing the victory hour and tying the coffee to the writing, there's no time for anxiety that freezes me up in the writing because I'm so happy to have my coffee.
Right.
Like, you can't be happy and anxious at the same time.
So
Like,
true.
I'm using neuroscience to my advantage to correct some of the old habits in my brain.
Yep.
So I'm laying new neural pathways.
Yep.
I'm in charge of my brain, not the other way around.
I love that. I love that. And when you get into that space of realization that you have the power to do that, every single thing in your life will change because your perspective is what creates the next moment.
Yes.
Also, I want to just touch on, because I want to go back to the bed thing, intention, like what your intention is. So your intention of getting up at 5 a.m. and doing this victory hour isn't about fixing Candy.
Mm-mm.
It's about living your greatest potential. It's not about fixing something that's broken. I think that is one of the things that we need to shift as a society, because I see a lot of people running around, hiring coaches, signing up for programs. I call it paralysis of analysis. They just keep going back to school and keep trying to figure it out. And you're coming from a brokenness that you can't fix because your intention is to fix a brokenness that's not there.
So that's funny you say that. I had the weirdest realization yesterday,
Cool.
and it ties in with what you said. I spent decades doing exactly what you said,
Same.
right?
Yeah.
Just chasing something outside me to fix me.
Yep.
And yesterday, when I was journaling, because my journal prompt every day for the next 30 days is, how can I be open hearted today?
Ooh, I love that.
So,
There's a game.
and different answer every day, right?
Yeah.
So, yesterday I realized I could be more open hearted by forgiving those who hurt me,
Yep.
because not only were they necessary teachers because the pain caused me to turn inward,
Yep.
in that moment that I realized how many years I spent, how many decades I spent chasing,
Yep.
those people actually caused me to turn inward where all the answers were the whole time.
Right.
And I just felt this overwhelming gratitude because this is my favorite part of the whole journey.
Yeah.
And how could I be upset or bitter towards those people that gave me the roadmap?
Yeah. 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 And gave you the desire to understand this at a level that actually helps others. And that's really,
And changed my everything,
yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
That's how I was open hearted yesterday. Was I was in a space of forgiving and gratitude.
I love that journal prompt. How can I be more open hearted today? What a beautiful way to start your day. Because then you're
Yes.
conscious of it. Like we don't even realize, and I still am having realizations around how I do shut down my heart, or how I don't love, how I don't love unconditionally, or how, I make judgments about people. This is really interesting. I make judgments about people because of my past experiences with other people, right? It's like my
Yes.
wounds are being reflected to me, and those people are reflecting that to me. I was talking to my daughter recently, and she was like, she works in a crystal shop, like a really beautiful crystal shop. The woman she works for is like an energy healer. We all go to her for sessions. She's incredible. In fact, when you come to Laguna, we got to hook you up. And
Okay.
she was saying that when she doesn't have good sales, that it's her fault. And my husband and I were, and like amazing for a 20-year-old to have that kind of responsibility, right? And my husband and I are trying to talk her out of it. We're like, well, it's the holidays and like it's cold out, and we've got all the excuses to make our baby girl feel better. And she was like, no, everything is our responsibility. She's like, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't connecting with people. I was just kind of in my little shut down world. So I'm going to share that prompt with her because I think that could help her in her little journey. But I'm like, if we actually believe that, if we could actually really understand that everything that we're doing and every person in our life is a reflection of some kind of signal that we're giving off,
Mhm.
then we have all the power.
So our thoughts drive our energy, and while our energy comes from our heartbeat, we create
Yep.
electricity. Our thoughts emanate that energy, and that's, emotion is energy in motion.
Yep.
So I, if I knew your daughter, hopefully she'll hear this, I would encourage her, instead of saying that it's her fault,
Right.
I would encourage her to say it's just a response to her energy.
Right.
Because I will tell you, when I go to work and I don't feel like being there and I'm just like energy low,
Yep.
I have the most no shows.
Yeah. Yes, of course, right?
It's like, okay, so the universe is like, okay, fine, you don't want to work, you're not going to work,
Of
nobody's going
course.
to come see you.
Of course.
But it's a response to my energy that I'm putting out, right?
Yes, it's all the signal, right? It's all the signal that we're sending.
But on the other hand, I will tell you that I am lucky at the school that I work. The I don't want to be too specific who I'm talking about,
Yeah.
but a person who is in authority where I work
Okay.
is so heart led and so determined to see the good in all people. She is such an inspiration. I'm so lucky to have her to look to.
Yep.
And the way that she delegates things to me, she sees me as more capable than I have before.
Right. Oh, that's
She
awesome.
is definitely helping me see myself differently in a leadership sense,
That's beautiful.
because being open hearted was not a concern of mine before her.
Right. Right. But she kind of she shined that light, showed that
Yes.
example, and it's like, oh, I want some of that.
Well, yeah, because I thought I was already very kind and loving, because I am.
Yep.
However, she is so heart centered and leads with love and grace in such a way, even being reprimanded by her, you still feel cared about.
Yeah, that's
It's such a
amazing.
beautiful thing. Her leadership is amazing.
That's incredible for her to just be like, I'm not going to reflect any wounds. I'm just going to be honest and forthright and
Yes,
do it in the
exactly.
highest energy field.
She keeps it clean and clear, and feedback is valuable. And like these are, and she's in alignment with all of it. She's in integrity with it.
I love that. I love
Yes.
that. That's amazing. So, our bright, shining examples. How can I be more open hearted today? Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Impactful.
Impactful.
Yeah. So, tell me about some of the other things that you're doing.
Well, I manifested a trip to Washington, D.C.
Okay, tell us about that.
I did a lot of traveling last year,
Mhm.
and I'm still going to travel, of course, because I love it.
Yes.
However, I told myself this year I'm not going to be taking off so many days and putting myself in debt and, doing all those. I'm going to pay as I go and go fewer trips.
Yeah.
And Washington, D.C. was on my wish list for this year. And then I said, well, it's not in the cards. I'm
Right.
going to Alaska. I'm going to Louisiana, New Orleans.
Yep.
Those would be my 2 trips this year.
Okay.
And then I was just asked out of the blue if I would like to go to a mentorship summit in Washington, D.C. It's coming up in a couple weeks.
Wow.
And the school district is paying for it. And as a way of supporting my own skill development, I will be giving a presentation on what I learned to some coworkers.
Love that. I love that. And so, when it comes to stuff like that, if you really went underneath your desire on that. So your desire is to be, debt free and to not put yourself under all the pressure and, to be fiscally responsible. Like nothing feels better than like all the bills paid and not having a huge credit card debt. Like it feels good, right? It feels good to
Yes.
behave in that manner. I also think when we respect money like that, money is more likely to come to us because we have a relationship with money. So if we're respectful of it, but underneath it all, your desire is still to travel. So with that and letting go and allowing, the universe has the ability to co-create with you instead of you doing it that way. So I suspect there's more trips like that to come. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
so,
I suspect I
yeah.
may end up in Laguna.
Yeah. I mean, why not? This is a great year for it. Just wait till it gets a little
That's
warmer. All right. Let's talk a little bit about vision boarding. So I have a little story about vision boarding. My husband and I, my husband, he's so sweet. We went to Michael's to get some Christmas stuff, and I lost him in the sticker aisle for, I'm not even kidding, 45 minutes. He's in the sticker aisle, and I'm like, what?
that's cute.
He spent over $100 on stickers. Okay.
Wow.
So he's like, well, I just think it would be so cool to do vision boards with the kids while they're here. And he just got stickers for everybody.
I
So
love that.
then he went out and bought like $500 worth of magazines. I'm like, he's really visioning this year. But the interesting thing about it, so all the kids got super into it. Even my granddaughter has a little vision board. She's got to come and finish it in February. But we all got super into it. And the cool thing was he found our old vision boards from, I think we figured out it was 2010, 2011, and all the things that had come true. There were like pictures of Newport, California. Now we lived in Connecticut at that time, had no clue how we were going to get to California. And there were so many references and pictures of California. And then it was funny because there's house pictures, like kitchen pictures and stuff. And I'm like, my vision is still the same. I still want the same kitchen. Like it has not changed. So we're up leveling this year. And I'm like, that kitchen is happening. Like it's been on my dream board. It's happening. So it's just interesting when you pull them out to say, oh yeah, this came true and this came true. And everything is still in alignment with the desires that I have. So that's kind of amazing over the course of years and all the dreams that we've fulfilled to still have that connection and to see the things that came true.
Yes.
It works. It works, man.
So I will tell you that in the past, when I've done vision boards, I was like, the big mansion, the
Yeah.
expensive car, and I'd put it together, and then it was more like a wish board instead of a vision board.
Yep. Which I think
Because
is where like the dream board comes from. It's like, well, what is your vision? Vision is so much more powerful, right?
well, it's in alignment with believing you're capable of creating that or manifesting that. However, versus just making a wish for it and not really believing you can do it.
Totally.
There's a huge difference, right?
Totally. Totally.
So I took my vision board for last year. So first of all, I keep it on my closet door so I see it every day.
Yep.
My subconscious mind takes a snapshot every day, which creates, because my subconscious mind is completely aware and has perfect recall, it creates opportunities that I would not have noticed before because my subconscious mind says, hey, this, remember that? And my
Yep.
intuition's like, what? I don't understand, but I'll go with it because my conscious mind is not thinking about my vision board, but all
Right.
the rest of me is,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I took it off my closet door and I was looking at it, and almost everything on there's only one thing on there that I didn't do last year.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I still traveled to a national park. Like it wasn't this national park, but it was still in Utah. It was just a different one,
Yep.
right? And I wanted to build on that energy. So I put this year's vision board on top of last year's vision board
Oh,
to
I like
build that
that.
energy.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw the picture of it. If you looked closely, you'll
Uh-huh.
notice there's angels behind me because they got my back. Like everything in there is there for a reason. Did you see the Kung Fu Panda sticker?
Oh, what was that about?
I'm the secret ingredient.
I love that.
So everything on my vision board is there to cue my subconscious mind to
Yep.
support and give me intuitive hit and provide more opportunities in alignment so that I manifest what I'm capable of doing.
I love
So,
that.
and it's on my closet door again. I see it every time I walk past my closet door, every time I get dressed, every time I put pajamas on,
Yep.
I see it.
It's there. It's there. And it's speaking to you in an indirect way.
Yeah, my subconscious mind is like a little snapshot every time.
Yep. Michael Bernard Beckwith in Spiritual Liberation talks about visioning. and how visioning is different than visualizing. So I love that you use the word vision board. And I think because if you think about visualizing, so visualizing is kind of like putting something out here, right? Visioning is when you actually connect with divine guidance. So when you were talking about the mansions and all that stuff, a lot of that is ego based, right? Like it's
Yes.
ego, like, oh, I want the big house, I want the nice car, this and that. And for me, like luxury is different than that type of energy. Like for me, luxury is like it's abundance, right? So I had a Mercedes on my vision board. I drive a Mercedes now. So to me, that's like connection with luxury more than it is ego. Like I don't drive a Mercedes to be like, oh, look at me. I drive a Mercedes because I love luxury. I love the way it feels. I love the way it drives. And so when it comes to your board, the visioning process is way more intuitive if you connect with your heart and really ask yourself, what are my truest desires? What do I really want to create in the world instead of what stuff do I want? Right? So different.
Yes. And I will tell you, this is the first time that I actually put triggering images to trigger positive affirmations, like the Kung Fu Panda.
Yep.
I am the secret ingredient, right?
Yes, I love the
I
idea.
have a little sticker that's a typewriter.
Yep.
Instead of, in the past, I had created like a mock book with the mock cover and everything.
Yep.
Well, that's more like a wish
Yeah.
because I
Yep.
wasn't working on it.
Right.
But now there's a typewriter on there.
That's the first
So,
step, right? Yeah.
well, and it's like I'm a writer, right?
Exactly.
It's like I write.
Yes.
Whether I'm published or not, whether the book looks like this, it doesn't matter. I write because that's me. It's what I do.
Yes. I love that so much. And I think that's going to serve you in moving that forward and actually becoming a writer. I mean, you are a writer. It's
3,000
like having that.
3,000 words
Yeah.
today.
I love that. And it's not that hard, right? So let's talk a little bit about resistance because I know I do have a lot of listeners who are interested in writing a book and who have had a lot of resistance around writing it. And one of the things that I realized, the connection with the coffee and the writing is true brilliance. For me, it's like if I just sit down and start writing, something takes over, right? Like divine energy, divine flow. And for the most part, I have never had a writing session where I sit down and nothing comes. Like it always comes. And a lot of times I got to be like, okay, I got to stop because I got something else I got to do. But for the most part, when you open the flow, when you get over that resistance and just sit down and do it, you're going to connect with so much more.
Yeah, being in flow feels so good.
So good. So good.
It's so life affirming. It's so energizing.
Yeah, and I feel like it's I don't know, it's cosmic. It's like it's mystical because it's not like anything we really experience in our day-to-day life when we're checking things off our to-do list. It's like beyond that. At least it is for me.
I will tell you, and probably any artist can attest to this. It's like you're in spirit.
Yeah.
Like you're in spirit with who you are, and I inspired, right?
Yes. Vibrato.
So
Yes.
yes,
Yeah. That's amazing. And so you kind of it's that idea of losing time, losing you're kind of like you kind of check out for a little while.
absolutely. You're just present and in the moment, in your creative flow, in touch with your spirit. This morning when I was writing, I regretted not getting up at 4 because I didn't want to quit when I had to stop for today because I had to go to work.
You're going to be up at like midnight. There's not even going to be any sleep. You're not going to even need sleep anymore.
Well, I will still take care of myself because balance is important and that's part of my self-discipline.
I agree.
Making sure I
So I would
care.
I would love for you to share in the self-discipline piece as far as, because I know people that struggle with this, the bedtime. I've never personally struggled with this. So maybe you can share what you found to be successful. I was like the type of kid who In high school, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning because I wanted my time in the morning. So I would go to bed at like 8:30 when I was like a junior in high school. Like that's
Wow.
the kind of person I am. I'm like bedtime sleep is super important to me. And I know if I don't go to bed, especially if I'm getting up at 4:17, if I'm not in bed by 9:30, it's not going to be good for me in the morning. Like it's not going to be as good. So how do you work from backwards? How do you work from getting yourself to bed on time?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, I think when I've read enough books to recognize when self sabotage is happening.
Yeah.
So when I was thinking why I needed self discipline for this year, I started thinking about all the things I feel badly about that I do or don't do.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't, I didn't feel good that I stayed up late. I didn't feel good that I slept in. It didn't feel good to be tired all day and non-productive.
Yep.
All right. It didn't feel good not to exercise. It didn't feel good not to be writing my book, all these things. And so I realized I had a mental checklist going that I needed more I can't think of a better word than self-discipline,
Yeah.
so that I could accomplish all the things I wanted to do instead of feeling bad that I wasn't doing it.
Yep. Yeah, because it's taking away from your experience, right? I love this idea of like
Absolutely.
making a list of all the things. I kind of put this in my show yesterday, but I like the way you said it. Making a list of all the things that make you feel bad and then working from that framework of how can I change it?
Yes.
Because if you don't do that, you're kind of just leaving all your power on the table, and you're not being a powerful creator by just being like, oh, I stayed up late again. There's no conditioning around it. There's no intention behind it. It's like if you just keep doing it, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
I didn't feel good that I wasn't drinking water. I mean, it's a whole list. I didn't feel good that I wasn't meditating every day.
Yep. Yep.
So,
All the
and it was funny
you
is,
on yourself about, I should do this, I should do that, right? Or should on list. Yeah.
and I firmly believe shooting on yourself is no good, and shooting on other people is just a projection of your own shooting on, you
Right.
know,
Yep.
it's, it's not good because the underlying message is not good enough.
Yeah.
Not right. And that doesn't serve anybody.
Right.
So
That,
I I had gained 13 pounds in 4 months, which not that crazy because I was on keto and exercising a lot, and I stopped exercising and I stopped dieting. So 13 pounds in 4 months was not terrible. Actually, it could have been so much worse.
right. Yeah. Can you just tell people where, in case they haven't seen a show with you on it before, your weight loss journey, where you started and how much you lost?
So at my peak weight, I was at least 350 pounds. That's as high as the scale went.
Wow.
And then I was down to 180
Wow.
before I went off my diet.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I saw my doctor last week and she said, you gained 13 pounds. And I said, shh, it's the holidays. And she said, it's not the holidays anymore. I was like, okay, fine. But
Oh,
I realized though, when I was listening, because I read the 5 a.m. Club and then I listened to it again immediately after,
yep.
right? And I realized that one of the things that I did to keep me from purpose and living in connection with my spirit was
Hmm.
self sabotage
Yep.
at the level of not sleeping,
Yep.
feeling bad about all the other things that I knew that I should be doing and was not doing. It's
Yep.
all self sabotage that disconnects from spirit.
Yep.
And how can we live in spirit, living our best life when we're sabotaging?
Right. Right. Oh, that's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That really is.
Just
It's
that
like,
really hit me, and I was like, ooh.
yeah. So then was it just like a pretty solid decision that you made? Like, was there I'm sure you just get to the point where you're like, okay, enough is enough.
Well, and the reason I landed on this book, even, I will tell you,
Yeah.
my friend who lives in Colorado asked me to read this book in August.
Okay.
And I was like, whatever. I read books all the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
However, I have seen such incredible change in him. He is so much more calm. He's more present with his family.
Yep.
He is less anxious about things he used to worry about. He's up every day exercising on his whatever that stationary bike with the screen,
The Peloton.
right?
Yep.
There you go. Thank you.
Yep.
And he's keeping his word to himself at a level I've never seen before. And I've known this man since, I don't know, like 15 years.
Wow.
So I'm
Wow.
like, huh, maybe
It
there's something to
must
this
be-
book.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, that's amazing. All right. So we're getting the book. We're getting the book. Yeah.
you won't regret it.
No, I'm going to get it. I don't have a problem with self-discipline. I'm a very disciplined person. But I do find it interesting that at times that, all of us can get out of whack. All of us can get off of our regular scheduled programming. And, one simple little thing like a cold morning in California can keep me from getting up. In fact, I was like, okay, I'm going to get up because I haven't been because we've had family here. So I'm like, I'm going to get up. And I've been doing the gym later in the afternoon, and it's messing up my whole flow because if I get everything done in the morning, like it's my victory, right? Like that's my victory. And then the rest of the day is kind of mine to create and be inspired by. So I was going to get up on Monday and it was like 37 degrees. And I was like, that's not going to happen. I just knew it, like that one little thing. So it's like getting that to get that to override because I lived on the East Coast. I would get up at below zero and go to the gym at 5 a.m. That was never really a factor for me. So it's interesting when we fall out of our really good habits that what we have to do to get back into them is a lot of overriding of those neural pathways that kind of try to keep us the same.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because that's where our habits come from, but they didn't start there. It's something that we did enough times that it became a neural pathway.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
when you create a new habit, you've heard the saying it takes 21 days to make a new habit.
Yeah, it actually takes longer, doesn't it?
I was going to say, according to the 5 a.m. Club, it takes 66 days, and every 22 days is a new stage of that habit forming in the brain.
So that was actually, I had read that was an article in Cosmopolitan magazine back in the 50s and became dogma in our society that it was 21.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, of course people aren't being successful because that's not even true. It takes much longer to create that new neural pathway and not dip into the old one. I think that's the part that we're working to override is that old identity kind of calling us back. Those 13 pounds being like, come on, Candy, like we're used to being with you. You know what I mean?
So, can I just tell you, skinny people problems are new to me. I had no idea. So when I was, at my heaviest or even 100 pounds lighter than my heaviest, I could gain or lose 20 pounds and not notice, not feel it. My clothes still fit.
Yeah.
At this size, I gained 13 pounds. I'm like, why are my pants going up past my thighs? Like, what's happening?
Yeah. I've got 5 pounds, like 5 pounds that I literally play with up and down. And that's
And
it.
it makes such a huge difference on the clothing fitting or not.
No, it doesn't. How you feel and the whole thing. That's so true.
Yes.
Skinny people problems. I like that.
That's what I call it. Skinny people problems. Oh, well, I'm glad to have them.
Exactly. I'm going to take that as a win, right?
Yes. Still a win.
Still a win. All right. So what can you share other than reading this amazing book, The 5 a.m. Club? What can you share for people, that are they're a few days into this New Year thing and maybe they've made resolutions, maybe they're sticking to them, maybe they're not. What can you share to help shift a perspective on why to do this victory hour, why to create a really strong relationship with that winning energy?
So I want to share that decide what you want for you and why you want it. It's
Mm-hmm.
got to be big enough and important enough that you're willing to make a commitment that you keep to yourself
Yep.
above all other commitments. Um, Last year, I moved my alarm clock to my bathroom
Smart.
because, right, I want to get up when I want to get up, and I don't want to hit snooze and then feel bad about it.
Yep.
So, alarm clock in the bathroom, I'm up.
Perfect solution.
Perfect solution. And I'm committed to that enough that because I felt yucky after I hit snooze.
Yep.
Now I don't do that anymore. I broke that habit.
Good. That's great.
I want to tell you every day is an opportunity to start something new.
Yep.
And if you just make one improvement every day, just one, look how many improvements you've made in a year,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
And not only that, once you start capitalizing on that, how many improvements have you made in 2 years?
Exactly. It's a
And
moment.
how many improvements does it take to change an entire trajectory?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
only takes 1 degree of change
Yeah. Millimeter
to
shift.
change everything.
I say
Yes.
that all the time. I'm like, it's a millimeter shift. And it's a millimeter shift in the way that we think, because whatever you're thinking is sending that signal. So if you wake up in the morning and you think about how much you hate exercise or how much you hate being on the treadmill, you're not going to be successful in it. So connecting that treadmill to a book that you love to listen to shifts that's the millimeter shift that we're looking for.
And a second millimeter shift that came after that was I'm going to feel so much better when I'm done.
I always think about that. I always think about the end
Yes.
result. I always think, because that's the currency, right? The currency is not getting on the treadmill and getting it done. And I was going to also add the little sprints that you're doing up your serotonin levels. Like it's like a flood of endorphins when you do that little bit of cardio. So that's why you feel really good when you do it. And it's also achievement, right? Like I ran a little bit today. Who else can say that?
And it ups the fat burning.
Yep.
And the reason I exercise very first thing is because it reduces the cortisol levels. When we first get out of bed is when our cortisol can be the highest before we've ever done anything stressful.
Wow. And why is that?
It's just the way our bodies work.
Our
So
body.
when you exercise immediately right away, it gets rid of that excess cortisol so you have a more calm day and you don't have all that inflammation building all day.
Interesting. And cortisol, as we know, what leads to belly fat.
And arm fat and butt fat and thigh fat.
All the
Yes.
fats. All the fats.
Yes.
I love that. So that is another added benefit. So that's the great thing about taking yourself past it, is thinking about the currency of what you're going to receive from it. Because if you think about if you feel like doing it, none of us really feel like doing it, you know? And actually, I don't even do that. I don't think should I or shouldn't I, because that just leaves way too much room for commentary and an old neural pathway. So it's like, I'm just like, when am I going to the gym? It's not like, should I or shouldn't I? It's like, okay, what time tomorrow am I going to the gym? But I'm going to get back on my 5 a.m. club. So that's not even going to be a factor anymore.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, this is very helpful. I think as far as like helping people to change maybe a severe identity crisis, like not believing that you're a morning person is putting yourself behind everybody that is. Right. And that's not like putting you down if you're not a morning person, but it's
Right.
accepting these identity beliefs that don't serve who you want to be. Like somebody recently said, "Oh, I wish I was a morning person." And I was like, this is one of my really good friends. I could talk to her this way. And I was like, you can be. And so she started doing it and she started getting up early and she's like, oh my gosh, this feels amazing. I'm like, well, then you have to let that go. You have to let go of the fact that you don't believe you're a morning person. Otherwise, it's going to drag you back. And before you know it, you won't be anymore.
Yeah, well, I am happy to say I'm a morning person now.
Yeah.
And I love that I start my day off exercising
Yes.
and not having to worry about trying to find time in the day to do it
Yeah.
because I've already done it. And if I find another spot to exercise, because I have been very easily,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I get to exercise again. So now I've got 2 in today.
And that just gets rid of stress. Like that stress alone of trying to figure out a time that you're going to get it done. And often it falls off the plate, is it even adds to less stress.
Yes.
I love that. Well, thank you, Candy, for being here. You can get Candy at elitesourcecoaching.com. She is an amazing coach and intuitive. I really respect the information. I think you're brilliant. I think that you have a lot of information that we need, that all of us need to make a more successful life and the best year ever. That's what I'm after.
The best year so far.
The best year so far. The best day, the best moment. I got to download today. I got to close the show, but I got to share this really quick. I got to download today that every moment matters. So think
Yes.
about that in your day. Like the times you're spending scrolling on social media, the times that you're yelling at your kids, all of this, it's like every moment matters when you're talking about your vibrational alignment. So pay attention to your moments and make them the best you can.
Thank you for that. That hit me right in the heart. I love that.
Love that. All right, we're going to end on that nugget. All right, thank you, Candy, for being here. We will definitely have you back. You all have
Thank
an
you.
amazing day, and we'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right, peace.